So, welcome everybody to a very special evening for both Preston Community Library and for Black History Studies. Some of you have joined us for events in the past, which has been wonderful to see those returners, and to new people, welcome. If both old and new want to know about our events, you can email us at prestoncommunitylibrary@gmail.com and get on our mailing list for a very wide variety of events. Now, we are very pleased that the evening is being hosted by Charmaine Simpson, who is the Chief Executive and co-founder of the Black History Studies. She also runs Black History Study Tours and is dedicated to promoting cultural tourism to areas of African heritage. She's both a historian, an author, publisher, researcher, film exhibitor, and social networker. So we're very privileged to have her hosting this evening. We are also very privileged to be looking at the work of two documenters of a time that has been lost in many ways on this anniversary of the first Windrush landing, and that is of normal day-to-day life in the Notting Hill area. So we'll be looking at the films of, we'll be looking at Rootsicle by Charlie Phillips, and we'll be looking at The Masked Man, the Man with the Magic Touch, with Gabriel. So I'll hand you over to Charmaine, and you're going to have a wonderful evening. Thanks.
So welcome everybody. My name is Charmaine Simpson and I hope you're all well. So what we're going to do now, we're going to watch the first of our films tonight. We're going to watch Rootsicle, and then we're going to watch the film with Carl afterwards, and then we're going to have an audience with Carl. So I hope you've got your pen and paper to make some notes. Also use the Q&A box to write any questions that you may have that you want to ask our esteemed panelists today. Okay, so I'm going to start the film, so enjoy. Okay, greetings everybody, greetings. Hope you're all well and have enjoyed those two films. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce our two speakers for this evening. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the films. Please use the chat box or the Q&A to put your questions to Carl Gabriel and Uncle Charlie Phillips. So let me do an introduction to who they are, okay? So, Carl Gabriel was born in Trinidad and came to England in 1964. And while working as a sheet metal worker, he trained in photography. He is now a full-time carnival artist specializing in wire-formed sculptures, which are presented in carnivals and other festival events. And he also runs educational workshops on the carnival arts. And see Carl Gabriel looking very well there. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And then we have Charlie Phillips, also known as Smokey. Born in Jamaica, he was a restaurateur, photographer, and a documenter of Black London. And he is now best known for his photographs on Notting Hill during the period of West Indian migration to London. However, his subject matter has also included film stars and student protests, with his photographs having appeared in Stern, Harper Bazaar, Life and Vogue, and in Italian and Swiss journals. Okay. So welcome. I am privileged. I am here amongst greatness. Yeah, I've been privileged to be sitting down here and speaking to you both. So, like I said, everybody, put your Q&A, put your questions in the Q&A box, and we're going to get started. So, welcome, Charlie.
Hello,
welcome, Carl. Hope you're well. So, first question I want to ask you both is: as first-generation migrants of the Windrush generation, how did your experiences in Britain when you first arrived as young men shape the direction of your careers?
I'll let Charlie answer that first.
You answer it first, Carmen. You always. Okay, let me talk about Windrush because I'm very outspoken on this. I don't see anything to celebrate. It was one of the biggest propaganda that was brought on to us, and we fell for it. Why I'm not celebrating Windrush, I've turned down about 4 different interviews today because I'm saying on a day like this, after our contribution to British society, British economy, and how we're still treated, we should have a remembrance outside some of the detention centers regarding today. Yeah. But then, you have the gatekeepers. Yeah. I'm very radical in this there. Because I'm on nobody's payroll. Yeah. Probably this is why I haven't got an OBE or MBE. Yeah, but the people who they put, the self-elected pool people who they put to endorse our culture or our history and to misinform the general public is disgusting. Why I haven't got nothing to celebrate Windrush is because even the first generation of Windrush, the people they're celebrating today at the Tilbury, yeah, and probably I didn't get invited because I asked all the wrong questions or say the wrong things, not intentionally, but these days, one has got to come to terms with our history, with our culture, yeah, without any apologies as well. And we've got to tell our side of the story, how it is, yeah? I don't see anything to celebrate because, one, you can look at the Windrush generation. We didn't came as no more destitute people. In fact, a lot of us didn't have to come here, but we're so indoctrinated on the British colonialism and imperialism, and we're so indoctrinated. I can tell you some things I used to do as a kid, yeah, about the mother country, yeah. I've got nothing against England, but we've been treated after, we're coming up to the 8th generation now, whether you like it or not. And they're still fighting about multicultural Britain and multicultural this, but we're still giving a bad slice of the cake. Yeah, we never have no welcoming committee to come here. Yet when we came here, we used to get abused. And when a family of 21 have to live in a house, my first night when I came here, I had to share a bed with 2 strangers. We didn't have no welcoming party or welcoming committee. Yeah, and some of these people who served in the last war, they're not even remembered because there isn't a proper memorial. They weren't even allowed. They weren't even allowed to participate in the Victory Day parade. Yeah, it's a generation that's forgotten about. Yeah, let's talk about just the Caribbean people. And what a lot of people don't forget is that we didn't come here as any destitute immigrants. We all paid our full fare. And while we were doing this, what's been left out of history, look at the migration to Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, where was it? Rhodesia, Kenya, where British migrants or settlers were migrating to for £10 a ticket, £10 a ticket, £10 a... So this government never subsidizes in any way. We had to fend for ourselves, and a lot of us didn't come here as destitute immigrants, maybe a few. But the sacrifice a lot of people made, selling their land and their cow and their bits and pieces to listen to the call for the mother country. That's what we used to look up in Britain as the mother country. Yeah. Looking back,
would you say?
Disappointing. No, it's so disappointing, and it's taken the best of our talents. It has taken away the best of our talents and left the whole Caribbean and Africa underdeveloped because the best of our talents came here in the 50s and 60s and had to end up doing menial jobs. Menial jobs. This government never really invested in the talented people. Now they've just found out, like me and Carl, some of the talented people are just beginning to surface. But they're 50 years too late because when we were at the prime, yeah, we were being shunned. Yeah, I remember. I can tell you things. You can read it in my memoirs. I can tell you things that I went through, and up to now, the institution doesn't even accept me as being an artist or a historian. And this is why, yeah, I'm in conflict with them all the time because after the time, I'm sorry, Charmaine, and after the time they only turn you out to tick the box. And I tell them, up here. No. I tell them, don't call me up because I'm going to call you out at Black History Month. And some of the things they have in the museum, they only take it out at Black History Month. Do you understand what we mean? Use as a political pawn? Yeah. Now the caretakers, the self-appointed Black cultural elite doesn't like my discussion. So this is why I'm being shunned. But I'm very open because I'm on nobody's payroll. Over to you.
And that's why we love you, Uncle Charlie. That's why we're at Black History Studies. We say, Uncle Charlie, talk the talk, because these are the stories that we need to hear. And I know from your struggles, and I know it's like there was an article recently that there's a photographer that nobody's ever heard about, and I'm like, what are you talking about? We know Uncle Charlie, and we've been giving you your recognition and your flowers from a long time. So it's only people are just recognizing you now. So even Carl, did you have similar experiences as well?
Let me break in. Sorry, Carl. Yeah. They knew about me a long time ago. Nowadays, when I do seminars and I tell young upcoming photographers what we had to go through as artists, some people still look at me, did you really do that? Or did you really take that? And when I came back from it and showed my work around, they go, oh, no, it's what we start with, we think we're blending. And they suppress a lot of the truth, Ireland, and the government invested in us. Look at a great artist like Carl. It burns me. It burns me very much to see when it comes near to carnival time. Yeah, who's got to decide? Who decides? Self-elected council workers has to decide whether his heart is good or is gone, or whether they should give. Council workers, from a different community select what's seen and what's not to be seen. He should have a permanent place in some of the cultural institutions, because as taxpayers we're not represented, and we're part of British culture whether you like it or not. Since the day we're being kidnapped. You going to send some comment?
No, of course not.
No, sorry, Carl. This guy is one of my favorite artists.
Yes.
He's one of my favorite, from one artist. He's one of my favorite, and yet his work is being suppressed. Yeah. Look at any other sculptures. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I actually met you, Carl.
Even the girl who some of the sculpture, even the girl who make her unmade bed. How come she got recognized? Or a guy who stuffed the wheel and get rotten. Yeah. And the guy has an amazing piece, and he'll never get a proper platform that is so well deserved, because carnival time, our culture and our hearts shouldn't be dependent on some council worker for decide what's seen or what's seen there. Sorry about Carl.
Right. Now, this is why I allowed Charlie to go first, because I've just got to show so much respect for people like Charlie and my dad. I mean, they really paved the way for me. I haven't been through that. All my time was to create and enjoy. People like Charlie and my dad and others cleared the way for me. So whatever I do, it's got to represent people like Charlie.
Yeah.
And again, why I'm like this is because they made it easy for me. The sort of places that I just walk into, head up, and have no sort of, well, I can't even find the word shame, but I'm walking with power. I mean, again, I've never told Charlie, but my part of photography came through a lot of these societies. I've always been involved in photographic societies. So my outlook, the way I do things is completely different. I do pass that on. I do try to pass it on, but I don't talk about it a lot because I feel so fortunate. Yeah, I mean, even my dad, when he came over in the Windrush generation, he was working in Savile Row. So that's to tell you the quality of work that he used to produce in Trinidad. Yeah, again, this is why everything I do has to be of that standard. You know, when the name Gabriel is talked about, it's got to be at a high level. People got to respect it. Yeah, and this is why, as I say, Charlie's there. I'm there to support people like Charlie. You know.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because I met you a few years ago. You had a sculpture at a Day of the Goddess event, and in Boston, and I met you there.
I wasn't allowed in the room.
Yeah. You wasn't allowed, and then you came in and said, "Oh, this is my sculpture."
I was allowed.
Yeah, and I remember taking a picture next to it as well. And I remember talking to you, and I said, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And it's like, as a historian myself, we need to be sharing the information. Even like both of you have good, strong links to Notting Hill and Ladbroke Grove in this area. So I wanted to ask you about the carnival, because this year, because of COVID, the carnival has been cancelled. So do you feel that we're moving away from the origins and the history of carnival? So we know that where the history of the carnival was coming from, it came from a very turbulent time where people were suffering from racism. It was used as a way of bringing the community together. Do you feel that people are moving away from that history and the origins of carnival? So I'll let you answer that.
Well, it's easy to say yes, but because a lot of the other bands are doing other things. I am doing this all through the year. I'm passing on the skills, and I've got students coming directly to me for one-to-one. So whether there's carnival happening on the street or not, I will be doing carnival. I'll be teaching carnival. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that it's not happening because obviously the students came to learn the stuff. They want to show it. Yeah. But at least they're learning it. They're learning the skills. Yeah. And it gives us a little bit more time to really go into depth about the culture and the art form.
Okay, excellent. And then in your film, you say that your style of work is a dying art. So you mentioned that you're teaching other young people. Is that how you're keeping that culture and these skills alive?
That is exactly how I'm keeping the culture alive. Again, my approach was to always pass the skills on, because again, I keep saying that I'm very fortunate that I was able to get into certain workspace, and being the only person of color there, but I chose to do engineering, the sheet metalwork engineering, again, which really involves a lot of sort of technical 3D language, Now, a lot of youngsters haven't learned that. They've probably done the basic, but I'm able to tap into that and take them to another level. And once they realize that they can do it, and they've been rewarded by the authorities, let's put it that way, they enjoy it even more. And I literally lead them and show them where they can exhibit their work. Yeah.
Excellent. So, Uncle, I call Charlie Uncle because that's how I've been calling him for years. I always call you Uncle Charlie. So, Uncle Charlie, and I'm going to keep calling you that. Uncle Charlie talked about his challenges in terms of getting recognition. So, what challenges did you face in terms of getting your work recognized, and how have you gone around?
Charmaine, before you go any further, we talk about carnival. Yeah, because I'm very, very outspoken about it, It's about time we scrap it. Because we become a laughing stock worldwide. After 50 years, not seriously, I think we should scrap it, until the government or the Minister of Culture or the people who's in charge of the culture of London, and it's part of British culture anyway, whether you like it or not, because if we wasn't suppressed and emancipated, we'll be having carnival, and the institution should be so glad that we can have an event like this where 2 million people can come out and want to share this culture and want to share our this interest, and it's being suppressed. And if the institution can't, if the institution can't even give us 2 days to enjoy our own culture, we talked about Windrush. And all the contribution, and the institution can't even give us 2 proper days to celebrate their history and our history. After 50 years, this should be our carnival should be rated amongst the top 10 worldwide. But the true hearts and the true culture of it is being suppressed by the authorities and council worker. Yet it's been hijacked when they want to promote multicultural Britain, but they don't give nothing back to the carnival. Look at the Olympics, for instance. The amount of money they invest in the Olympics, if they could give 10% of that towards the carnival, it'd be a great carnival. After 50 years, the institution should, the people who's in charge of the culture of London should have embraced it. Yeah, what other city would love to have a 2 million people coming out to enjoy themselves? I only go to carnival as a protest. The other reason the protest I go and say, look at that. After the suppression and the battering and the racism and all that, we turn around to the authorities and say, come and enjoy yourself, and come and enjoy yourself. No hard feelings. We're still here. And it's still the institution still doesn't like that. Yeah. Our carnival should be among the top 10. I know it can't surpass Rio Carnival or Trinidad Carnival, but look, you look at the rest of Europe now. Rotterdam Carnival is taking over. Venice Carnival is taking over. It is an embarrassment. Yeah, and the people who's in charge of the culture of London should hold their heads in shame. Yeah, and this is why if they can't put on something more artistic, more cultural, more uplifting, yeah, I think you should scrap it, because as an artist, I would never want to participate in an event like that, because they've got so much talented people, but they pick and choose who they, we are the minority in Carnival now. We are the minority because it's been handed over to council workers, and I don't think council workers or council official should be running my culture and my heart, which is an embarrassment, and telling us what to do, where to do, and decide who comes in and who decide who gets a license to perform. It's all wrong. And I think they should I should think, for peace sake, they should we should pull out till the people who's in charge of the culture comes to their terms, because it's only benefits a few. Yeah, it's not the local people the local people from the area can't get anything out of it. I think we're going very political, but I'm thinking our
life is political, Uncle Charlie. We cannot not be political.
I do think that you should be cancelled, but the people who participate in carnival.
We should cancel the management of the and bring in like the culture.
Cancel the whole carnival till the Minister of Culture, because it's part of London culture, acknowledge our presence, respect our presence over the years, yeah, and give us 2 days. Yeah, we got the Windrush scandal, and we got this. But what you see 2 million people coming out, yeah, you think if New York was supposed to have an event, or Toronto, or Canada, or Beijing can have such an event that attracts 2 million people, they would have embraced it. But we become a laughing stock. People laugh at us. People who go to experience carnival other places, then they come and say, this is carnival. They don't even have the richest borough in the area couldn't even invest some money to put some bright lights, some decent toilets up. Yeah, they've done everything to discredit, and it's only in the pockets of a few people who benefit from carnival. Scrap it, because we could do better.
All right, so Carl, would you like to talk about your challenges and even just echoing and your thoughts on what Uncle Charlie said?
Well, again, as I say, I don't have any challenges, but the problem is carnival now is a new generation, different generation, and we will probably this couple of years where we don't have the carnival give us the opportunity to kind of reboot and reshape the carnival, you know, because it's difficult to use that sort of language with the new generation, because as far as they're concerned, they just want a couple of days to come out on the road with the costume and their bikini or whatever, you know. So it's a different mindset. So, but I hear what Charlie said. I could understand what Charlie's saying, and I'll say yeah to all of that. But at the same time, we're dealing with another generation, a younger generation, who see things in a completely different light.
Okay. And then how Uncle Charlie mentioned about importance of documenting our history. So for your views, why is it important to document our history of our contribution to this country, as well as the history of Carnival? Why is it important?
If we're talking about documentation, my way of documenting, the sort of lifestyle of our people, I took the Carnival route, because from about 72, 73, I start documenting the Carnival and what's going on around the Carnival. So I've got archive on that. Yeah. Obviously, while I was doing that, Charlie was doing other things, probably the sort of riots and whatever. But my documentation is all about the Carnival and things like that. And I feel like it's important, at least, that I've got that now. So anybody wants the images and stuff from those days, from the 70s till late 90s, I've got it. I've got thousands of color transparencies and photographs available for library purposes.
Look at that, huh? And it has been given a proper platform. During Carnival, there should be a museum.
Well, Charlie, I haven't pushed that. I've had so many different angles,
There is the proper archive of Carnival. I asked about that, how far can you go back? I can go back to the 1970s, 60s. But there is, I don't know what the idiots have been doing. There is the proper archive of Carnival from day one right up to the last. Was there a document about the last Carnival on the street? No, because the idiots, the self-appointed idiots, council workers, they decide what's seen or not seen. And look at that. You've got all this document and you can't even share it with anyone. Isn't it a disgusting, terrible? Because it depends on a few council workers or a few cultural elites decide what's seen and what's not be seen. It should be permanent. It was a big cultural.
I mean, if you saw Carnival, I think Carnival Live or something last year that they streamed, quite a lot of the images, they were mine, which I load to the Carnival Village.
But there's no way where you can go and see it live, and touch it, or look at it, and walk around it. Yeah, same thing with me, Carl. They call me at the Black History Month. Yeah, and some of my things is in the dungeons in some of the museums, and they take it out Black History Month. Hey, come on, you're better than that. Come on.
Yeah,
I hear you, Charlie. You're right, Charlie.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why Black History Studies did our events throughout the whole year, because Black History Month is too short to be documenting our history.
Part of British history since the day we're being kidnapped, when you like it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, which is true. So let me ask you a question, Uncle Charlie. So how can we support the creative artists of the next generation?
How can you support the creative artists of this generation? We can't support them because we're not financially. I do my little thing in my own little community. Sometimes I have exit. Thank God there was a barber shop and the hairdressing shop and the mechanic shop where I have exhibition. Sometimes bring my work out to what you call working class people, or because it's being suppressed. Yeah, you go to some of these cultural institutions. You don't see people like us there anyway. Yet, as a taxpayer, we pay for it. But when we go to some of these big cultural institutions, you feel uncomfortable. You even on opening nights, and when I have to go with a white friend, I'm so embarrassed. Multicultural Britain, all the black people you can see is the sweepers and the cleaners. You never see nobody front of desk. I went to one famous exhibition. The artist used to live in Lapma Grove, and on the launch night, I won't call his name. There was about 4 black people in the audience, in the guest list. And I said, hold on a minute, you want to tell me there's only 4 black people of culture? And this is one of the main museums, This is 2019. And I said, hold on a minute, you want to tell me there's only 4 black people who could have gone on this artist's guest list or come to the launch? It's all wrong. Yeah, somebody's got to challenge it. Somebody's got to challenge. I think we should nationalize some of these galleries and put ordinary people. Now, when I say this, I'm not talking about just a color thing, you know. But when you go in some of these museums, you hardly hear any Cockney being spoken. You hardly see any, you hardly see any low-paid workers. You hardly see any dustbin men, for instance. There, it's all for the cultural elites, and that's why I rate Banksy, you know, because he showed his work freely, and people embrace his work. So where was these cultural elites at the time to acknowledge his work? Yeah, so it's a farce. So somebody's got to challenge them, and they're self-elected, and somebody's got to challenge it. That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to comment, Carl?
Sorry, Charmaine. Okay.
No, don't. Sorry. No. We love your passion. We love your passion. And this is no. We're not about exclude. We're not about censoring you. You know. we love when you talk.
Tone it down. But
no, definitely not. Yeah.
I love Charlie passion. You know?
Me too.
But you know, I keep saying I'm fortunate. I've got an outlet. I'm able to pass it on to youngsters. You know, so these youngsters got energy. They could take it up to another level. So probably that's my release. Charlie's got a lot of pent-up feeling. I don't understand, appreciate it. You know, this is why I always love him. I'll always support him. You know, because I know he's going through, but it's something that I'm that I don't have to. So I divert my energy elsewhere by bringing in the youngsters and passing on the knowledge and skills.
But I hope you bring the youngsters out to some of the cultural institutions as well, Carl.
Well, I do.
Because we're not represented in some of these big cultural institutions. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Charlie, I do. Obviously, it's not something that you want to shout all the time because people think you're big-headed or whatever. But listen, you know, I was on the assessment committee for the Art Council for carnival funding and stuff. And I mentor youngsters, I bring them along to the meetings, which is something that people don't do. But I say, right, if I'm going to mentor you guys, I'm going to let you realize and let you see where you can go if you really take this serious. And I'll take them to meetings and assessments and stuff like that. And if I didn't do that, they'll never get there.
Yeah. Well,
so, you know, I'm feeling good about myself that I'm able to do that.
Mm. Yeah, and we've always at Black Issue Studies given Uncle Charlie a platform. We remember the event that we did in Victoria where we had an audience with Uncle Charlie. We invited everybody down, and he was just talking about his amazing pictures and the stories behind these images, and that's how I got to meet you. I remember meeting you at BFI in South Bank and talking to you, and I'm like, this man is cool. I love him. Like, come to one of our events, and then we did the event, and then it was just like, come to Uncle Charlie. I remember sitting down with you in PCS in Victoria, and you're talking about your life journey, and I was writing all these notes, and my hand was tired. I said, listen, no, this is long. Let's do an event where you can come down and talk about your contributions and what you've done in your life, because you're just amazing. And people came down from far, and it was this amazing event. And we have been giving you support for all the years. And I know what you say in terms of like when you go to certain places, you're the only one. I've experienced that when I've gone to certain places as a historian, and you're outnumbered. You're looking at who are you, which university you're linked to, and then when they find out you're a separate organization, that you sometimes they turn up your nose at that. Who are you? Black Issue Study. Who are you? But we have to be able to fight that as well. And this is why it's so important that we listen to you as elders that have gone through your experiences, and us as the younger people now to pick up the mantle and say, right, we're going to continue the amazing work that you have done. Yeah. So we have to be able to do that as well. And also, like Carl was saying about now we're younger and got more energy. Now we should be ones that's kicking open the doors and asking questions. So now I know that's happening because a lot of time we are challenging things online. So even maybe not be going into the institution, we're doing it online. We're bypassing these institutions now and doing our own thing. So we're not waiting on them. Yeah. So it's just a case of looking at how can we do that now, and also challenge these institutions, like what you showed in the in that actual form. So we know that you still got some of your artwork outside the Preston Road Library to this day. I know you've got exhibits outside in various different places.
The Carnival Village, the Yard Center Center in Chippenham Muse.
Yes.
It's like a museum. So, feel free to pass by anytime.
Yeah, yeah. So anybody that's listening, make a note, and also bring your children, bring your young people.
Yes, it's important.
So yeah, I was quite privileged of going. I've got fond memories of going carnival. I've got memories of going to actual museums with my dad, and my dad is not a cultural artist, nothing like that. Very, very working class Jamaican bus driver, taking us to these art galleries and people looking at him. I was like, "What are you doing in here?" My dad's like, "Come we go," and he's always said to me that we should not self-exclude ourselves, and that was one of the main things that I got from you, Uncle Charlie, when we first met. You said, "Charmaine, you must go to these institutions and make yourself be known and seen," and we must be able to do that as well. Yeah. Which is good. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you some of the questions. And we've got some questions from people in the Q&A. Okay. So somebody asks, when did you first start? So this is for Charlie. When did you first start taking pictures, and how did you get them known and seen? When did you start taking pictures?
I started taking pictures in 1958, as a matter of fact. I didn't go to no photographic school. But it was during the era of the Cold War, and you had a lot of Black American GIs. We used to come to Labrador Grove because we used to have a lot of shubeens and parties on a Saturday night. And this GI got legless, never had the money to go back to his base. So he pawned a camera out to my dad for 15 shillings, and I started to use the camera. But he never came back to pick it up. So these were the days when we used to live in one room, yeah? And you'd have a communal bath, and the communal kitchen would be on the landing, yeah? That's a part of the history that's also forgotten about. But he left a magazine called the Saturday Evening Post. And I was glazing through it, and I saw illustration of a thing called, of a little kid. And a policeman was telling it was called a runaway. Now, a family of four in them days used to live in one room. And I said, boy, when I get old enough, I want to get away from this, yeah? And I started taking pictures, and then I used to do a paper round, and I went in Boots Chemist one day. I tell the institution this all the time, I didn't go to no school, I didn't serve my apprentice. Do-it-yourself photograph. Bought this little book for 3 shillings and 6 pence. And that's how I learned, yeah? And then picked up from there. So, well, what the problem is now, you see, we used to have photo albums, and in that era we thought we was only going to spend 5 years in England. Well, I've lost a lot of my collection over the years for being stupid, or the institutions, when I showed them 40 years later, couldn't believe that a person of color could have such a collection. But we were planning just to spend 5 years, so I thought I'd take as much photograph with Milka Kodak Renetta camera with the Yankee left, GI left, and shown our life in England, because this is what was in this American magazine. It was a Saturday Evening Post, and there was an artist called Norman Rockwell, and it was about American life. So I thought I'd do the same thing. And hoping in 5 years' time, when I go back to Jamaica, yeah, I could show my friends and family what life was like in England. But we overstay with time. We're gone 60 years now, and it didn't work out. No, but this is, a lot of us never intend to stay in England. We came here for the mother country, and the sacrifice we made to come, some of us made, by selling with land, with goat, yeah, with cow, yeah, 5 guineas a acre, yeah, just to get that fear to come here, because the mother country asks for it. And look at it today. Nothing has really changed. We still get harassed. We still get treated differently. And all this, nobody talks about anymore. So I don't see anything to celebrate. But that's how I started photography, and I carried on from there.
So where is your archives? So have you, where's your pictures and your archives being held now? Is it being held in?
Some of them is locked away in the vaults of the museum, and I tell them, don't bring it out at Black History Month anymore. And I'm still going through I've lost a lot of my early photographs because the institution couldn't believe I took it when I tried to take it. And when I used to show them around, the abuse I went, did you really take that? That's some of the things I've taken. And it's only about 15, my work has been around, but it's only about 15 years ago they discovered, Charmaine, it's only about 15 years ago the general public, found out I was a photographer, a black photographer. Because in those days, they didn't like you to, they didn't expect that of you. Nowadays, when some sarcastic editor goes, did you really take that? Yeah. And the guy was so shocked. I just showed him the negative. I said, I've still got the negative here after 40 years. So most of my work has been suppressed. So they only got me out when Black History Month started because I wanted something black to put on. Yeah. It's still being used as a political pawn. And some of my work is locked away in the theater and the Museum of London and all that. But they only bring it out when they want something black. So it's still being used as a political pawn and a cultural pawn. So I'm not in that anymore. I take my work out and show it, put it in my friend's barber shop and in the garage and amongst urban people, and Portobello Film Festival, because that's when they asked me to come home. You've done the Portobello Film Festival with me many years ago, remember?
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So from a grassroots level, I don't feel comfortable in museums and cultural institutions anymore. Keep it grassroots. That's how I feel now after, because it's still suppressing a lot of our work as far as.
And as you say that as well, one of the questions from the public was, what challenges do you see young Black and brown people in the arts be facing right now? So you mentioned about not feeling welcomed. Yeah, that could be one of the challenges. But what are in your dealings with young people? So that's mainly Carl and yourself, Uncle Charlie. What challenges have you seen that young people are experiencing now going up into the arts institutions, especially from the Caribbean and African community?
Go
on, Carl, you go for it.
The challenges
this afternoon.
I feel that most of the youngsters are not individualists. They just love to follow each other. They all want to do the same thing. And that's one thing that when they come to me, I try to knock out to them. Be an individual. And it will get them further. Because if they go for an interview to put on an exhibition in one of the national galleries, if it's on Carnival, you'll find most of the young designers are putting the same design. It's just different colors. Yeah. And I try hard to say to them, no, you must be an individual. I mean, I've got young photographers they're going to university and stuff, and they keep saying to me that, the lecturer do not give them good marks, they keep writing down. And when I say to them, bring your work, let's have a look, let's analyze it. And obviously, the stuff that I see, I can understand why. And what I tend to do is to take them to another level by trying to explain to them what they need and how to present the work. A lot of them do not know how to present the work. Yeah. And I really, before we even start making anything, I spend a lot of time explaining more or less the foundation. Yeah, and it's amazing how they'll be phoning me probably a week or so later to say, oh yeah, took what you said, I took it to the school or the college or whatever, and I've got high marks, So I know it works. So I mean, I don't want to criticize them, because obviously if they didn't have somebody like me to guide them in the right way, they would do what they think is right. And what they think is right most of the time is not right. I mean, they've got good ideas, but packaging it, and presenting it, they really haven't been taught that. Again, I keep saying that I've been fortunate that every step I made was more or less the right one, and there were people there to guide me. So I really think about what other people do and try and respect them. I mean, people like Charlie, James Banner, James Banner, is it? People that I've got to look up to them. I mean, and the stuff, the sort of equipment and stuff that I've got, they didn't have that. And with the work that they present, you know, I've got to admire it, you know? And whatever I'm doing, got to compliment that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what else can I say? You know, I don't want to sound like I, you know, but
no, there's nothing wrong with talking about I. We want
there's
to hear
been
that.
so much people there to guide me. So I didn't have to go through all that hardship. I mean, when I hear what Charlie had to go through, you know, I kind of feel for him, you know, but probably I'm born at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that. I appreciate everybody who support me and help me.
Yeah.
So it really frees up so much of that energy to enjoy the work and create the work.
Yeah.
And it leaves me again with that time to pass it on in a genuine way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. And we thank you for the work that you definitely do with those young people, because those young people don't understand and don't even appreciate what the help that you're giving them now. They might not appreciate it now, they might appreciate it later in life as well. At least you're creating that foundation of the next generation of photographers and creative artists that are going to come up now. And that could be, do you see that as part of your legacy?
I do. I do. I mean, I'm just doing it, but you know, they say to me, that's your legacy. I mean, I've got people from some of the big bands. The younger generation is coming to me and say, you know, we didn't learn this. And I say, well, listen, let's not talk about what it didn't learn, because I don't want to criticize, you know, the designers and artists. I say, right, you need to just focus on what I'm going to say to you. You know, and we just do positive things, we speak positive, we do positive things, you know, and I'm showing them examples about, you know, how to present and how to do things and what to do to get that profile, you know.
Yeah, excellent. Okay.
But can I say something about this, you know, because
of course.
So far, one of the things, Britain's got a lot of talent, especially from the diverse community. And so far, it's about 14 students, from the Afro-Caribbean diaspora who's done a dissertation on me, really. And this is one of the things that really keeps me going. But I really personally think that some of the people, some of the professors in some of these institutions as well, can be very biased. In fact, when this student done a dissertation on me, she took it to her professor, and the professor condemned it. Why? Because he's never heard of me. So she said to him, why don't you Wikipedia him? Yeah. Now, these are people who's in charge of our culture. And I'm saying now, some of the feedback I get from some of the upcoming art students, whether in photographer or in the visual arts, some of the professor maybe view them in a different way, or if it's not, or they can't understand the spiritual. You see, one of the things you must understand when it comes to art, from a European point of view, they have connected with the spiritual point of view that some of the from people from the diaspora show, and they're going to condemn it as like a primitive art. You understand? And this is one of the things I've spoken to a lot of students, and this is one of the things they always fail on, or they never come up with high marks, because some of the professors, they view our culture and our art from a different perspective. Yeah, they left the mystic side of it. They leave out the mystic side of it and the spiritual side of it. Yeah,
but Charlie, if they haven't sort of studied that, like for instance, when I do things, I do it from a spiritual sort of level.
Europeans don't understand that, Carl.
If they don't understand that,
they don't understand it, or the mystical side of it as well.
Well, I know I get students say that to me, you know, and obviously I've got to sort of take them back and structure the word so that the professors or the tutor understand it, you know, because sometimes the younger people, they tend to fantasize a lot, and they lose the structure. So I mean, I'm not criticizing them. I understand what you're saying, Charlie, but we got to look at it both sides.
Some of the professors, they're not with it, Carl. Yeah, they look at our art from just one side. They're
I understand.
Yeah, and this is another thing I feel is 13 students has done a dissertation on me, yeah? And there's only one professor would be to remind him they had to Wikipedia me, and he apologized. What does that tell you, Carl?
No, I understand what you're saying, Charlie. You know, I'm not
shows you the corruption within the art sometimes, yeah? A lot of students have been suppressed. Yeah?
Or as somebody said in the Q&A, that we're not the elephant that's in the room is the institutional racism that we experience as Black professionals in working with some of these institutions. So you can see how that can impact on your life, especially suppression, making you feel other, only pigeon your hole into Black History Month. These are the things that we have to address, because even though Tony Sewell can come up with that bogus report talking about there's no institutional racism, we know that is well and alive, and we experience, and that's a lived experience of people. But that should also, like what Carl is saying, that shouldn't be the reason why we don't do the work that we do. We have to find ways around that. So that's one of the reasons why we exist at Black History Studies, because for years, and I don't say to people that, oh, we were the first to start teaching Black History and Black Studies, because we weren't. We built on the legacy and stood on the shoulders of great people such as Eric and Jessica Huntley that were doing work similar. And then we came along, and then I learned about these amazing power couple. And I'm like, yeah, we need to learn about our history. We can't be waiting for the school system to teach our history. We must do it ourselves. And in a way, you both are quite radical in the sense that you have been documenting our history over this year, even though other people may not recognize you, or they do, or they're not giving you the full flowers which you deserve, because both of your works, you should have institutions beside your name, and everybody should know as the Art Sanctuary Centre that should be a place of Black excellence that everybody should be going to. But we have to also think about, okay, the next generation, how do we keep and preserve and celebrate and showcase our history, regardless of institutional racism, and doing it in a way that it's unapologetically Black. We're not asking no permission. We're just doing it, and I find that with the work that both of you do, that's what you are doing. And actually, like to say, even before the end of the session today, just say thank you for doing that, because now when our young people are coming up, and people like myself now are coming up, we're like, listen, we can do these things. We don't need you. We can bypass you and do our own things. So even if we have to hire a venue, or if we just take the art to the streets, we just have to do that as well.
That's what I do.
Yeah. And do it in a way where we're not asking permission to be excellent, because we are, and your body of work has shown that, yeah. And that's what we have to. That's the main message that we want to get across. That okay, you may not give us our flowers, you may not give us our recognition, but we're going to do this regardless, and we're going to keep doing it until one of us gets in there to open up those doors. And I think that's another area where we must be encouraging our young people to go into the arts and become curators of museums and go into spaces. And if we keep trying to go to these places and they're not letting us in, we need to expose what is going on in these institutions. Because I know how it is when you're trying to get into certain places, and if you're not from the Oxbridge or the Cambridge, or you don't look a particular way, you are not getting into those spaces.
Well, one of the things that keeps me going, one of the things that really keeps me going, we're coming up to the 8th generation, and they've got such an inquisitive mind, yeah? Because one of the problems is my generation, my parents never talked to me, yeah? And there's been a missing gap both in our story and our history, because, when you used to ask my parents, they used to say, shut up, little pig, you should be simple. Don't ask me like that, but now this has created a missing gap. And what I found out now, there's so much abundance of talent, yeah? And if this institution can invest in some of the talent and share it, it'd be fantastic. But as I said, we still, okay, for instance, I'm sitting here now, and Time Out magazine voted me the best urban photographer. I don't know if you saw that last article in The Guardian, where they wondered, how come this guy can't get a retrospective? Simon Sharma, the top historian, had to question, how come they haven't heard about this guy before? A magazine from Los Angeles picked it up. And, now people are asking a lot of questions. But they see, I bring my things out to grassroots level. And that's where I feel comfortable now, yeah?
And I think that's where these institutions need to bridge that gap.
Wake up. And they should be
to the grassroots.
nationalized.
Yeah. They need to work with the grassroots organizations and come out to the community. There's not much community outreach with a lot of these organizations as well. And somebody asked in here, does Carl not concede that there are racial disparities in the world of art?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Say that again slowly.
So does Carl not concede that there are racial disparities in the world of
art? That's a question for Carl. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, there is racial inequality, but as Charlie said, you got to know what you're doing and just get out there unashamedly and present it. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going to stop to think about what people are going to say or whether they're going to let you in or not, you won't do it. It's just do the work and just sort of not kick the doors down and say, right, here you are.
Well, I've gone past that. I don't have to kick the doors down there because grassroots people know about me. I've got a big following out there and I do my own thing in my way, you know? It's too late because as far as I'm concerned, the institution doesn't need to deserve my presence. I still do.
But I don't wait for the institution.
Wait for it. Go out and do it.
Yeah, do it yourself. Yeah, self-reliance and self-determination.
Part of my collection. Yeah.
Again, and that's another thing that I teach to the youngsters as well. They can't wait for the institution to be calling them in or giving them anything. They got to do it.
And don't forget, you've got the cultural elites. The cultural elites who decides what's seen and what's not seen. You know, although these people want to be woken up as well. Yeah, and be challenged. Self-appointed, some of them too, you know.
Okay, Carl, I've got a question for you. Can you talk about the process that you used to make the sculpture for Preston Community Library? I think the sculpture was called Inspiration. So let's talk about the process.
Yeah. Yes. The Preston Library commissioned that. They give me a brief. And the process is, again, going right back to, as we call it, technical drawing. I mean, it was full-scale technical drawing, lots of lines and numbers and stuff like that. You do a line drawing first, profile, front view, and then you start developing your 3-dimension from that. But it's all about the foundation of that is technical drawing, design and technology. And it's all done by hand. I mean, people look at it and first thing they say, oh, did you use CAD to do that? And I have to say to them, well, no, but it does look as a computer would.
Yeah.
But again, it's somebody like me who's got to put that on the computer. I've got, for people to understand. But I try to get my students to just do handwork. Remember when they used to do the technical drawing and use that principle.
Excellent. So when you're doing your drawings, do you pull it onto the computer or is it just hand drawings at the moment?
No computer. It's all done from my head.
Okay.
It's all done from my head. I mean, when I go in primary school, I sort of tap into the sort of formulas that the kids know, like fire and, I don't want to scare anybody, but, once they understand that, I've got that foundation, I'm able to build on that. And then, obviously, they've learned all this through maths and stuff, but they haven't had to apply it.
Yeah.
I show them how they could apply that. And once they start doing it, they're off they go. And everything just falls into place.
Okay, brilliant. Excellent. So, we're running out of time. if you can give, so Carl, for yourself, because you just spoke, can you let everybody know if they wanted to get in contact with you, your contact details as well, how they can get in contact with you, keep supporting your work, and any closing remarks for today?
Yeah, they could Google Carl Gabriel artist, and a lot of my work is going to come up. Or they could contact the Carnival Village. They'll pass on my number. I'm based at the Carnival Village. So that's the easy way to get hold of me. But if you want to see some work, immediately just Google Carl Gabriel, Carnival artist.
Okay, excellent. So thank you for that. And then Uncle Charlie, same question. How can people get in contact with you and support the work that you're doing as well?
Well, know all my contacts, and all you have to do is Google me, Wikipedia me, Twitter me. Yeah, come on. You have my contacts. Charlie Roots Photo, FOTO, at yahoo.co.uk. That's my email. But I hardly do email, but I have volunteers now because one of the things that keeps me going, I got so much volunteers, and they say, Uncle Charlie, we have to keep your legacy going, because, and this is the only thing that keeps me going. I thought I'd have a nice, peaceful retirement, but they got me out of retirement, honestly, all I wanted to do was spend more time in my allotment and finish read the 3 volumes of J.R. Rogers' Sex and Race. I still haven't finished that yet. That's what I was looking forward to doing, Marriott. Honestly, J.R. Rogers, Sex and Race. Yeah? Have you got that amongst your collection?
Yeah, I have, I haven't read it, not all of it, but I've read it.
That's what I was looking forward to do. But now, there's such a demand, it's so much young people, as an interest in me. And they want to hear our stories because their grandparents never tell them the story. Tell it to life. So we'll give me another platform again soon, Live.
Of course.
Live. I love doing live things with you, Charmaine.
Yeah, we know you. We love you like planting. You know that for a long time. And we always love when you come to our events as well because, like you said, that when you go to other places, they want to censor you. You can't say certain things. And we're like, listen, no, say all you need to say because we need to hear. And there's things that need to be said and shared as well. And it's very, and my children, they're all excited. They wanted to be on the seminar today, but I told them they have to go to their bed. So they all send you their love as well.
All right, thank you.
Excellent. So repeat your email. Somebody asked to repeat your email. So it's Charlie Roots Photo.
Photo with FOTO at yahoo.co.uk.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent. Yeah, so...
or tweet me, or what's the other one? Tweet me. What's that? Tweet
on Facebook and Instagram. I know you're definitely on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Volunteers who done it for me because I'm computer illiterate, believe me. But this is one of the things that touches me because it's a lot of young people who says, Uncle Charlie, you have to keep your legacy alive. They make some good stories for me, and they do it all volunteers. So I meet with them once a week or twice a week to see. Sorry if I can't reply to email immediately, but I have a phobia about computers. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Ever since I saw the film 2001, the computer take over the mind. It scares me.
No, that's fine. No, and if anybody needs to get in contact with Uncle Charlie, you can always get in contact with Black History Studies. So our website is blackhistorystudies.com. You can get in contact with us via there. Google us as well. We'll come up as well. Give us a call and we'll definitely put you in touch with Uncle Charlie as well. So
when you're going to have a live session with Carl, a live one, take him out every time and make him show some of his magnificent work. Yeah, when I win the lottery, Carl, you go and sell me a piece. Yeah, I'm going to buy a piece. Yeah, we'll put them in the garden, all weather. Honestly, I got a photograph in return. But artists always exchange. But I know I can't afford this piece of work. But
come down to the studio, Charlie, and let's talk.
Yeah.
I'm taking a serious photograph for you. I want a serious photograph for you, Paul.
Yeah. Definitely. And I want to definitely see you working more closely together as well.
I lost the camera. I lost my camera because last week Monday I done the Grenfell. I'm coming on the tube, the camera drop out of my bag. So everybody find a camera on the Metropolitan line or the District line to Hammersmith. Yeah.
Oh no. So we're definitely have to talk, Uncle Charlie, about that. I can't not have you without your tools, definitely. No. So we'll definitely speak, yeah. But I'll give you a call after as well. So so if you want to get in contact with Carl, you can get in contact with Preston Library. They'll have the contact details and make sure they look after you and get you the details. And go down to Preston Road Library as well to see the exhibits as well, and actually visit the Yar Centre as well. So you can go down there, support the work that we do. And yeah, so before we go, just wanted to tell you about an event that we're doing. We're doing an event, we're working with, like what Uncle Charlie saying was talking about, and giving recognition to people that have gone before us. We are doing an event on Friday the 23rd of July, which is a free event called Pilots and Soldiers of the Caribbean, Fighting Men of the Caribbean, with Maureen Dixon, who's written an amazing book on this subject. We're going to be doing an event with her on Friday the 23rd of July, and basically talking about the hidden contributions of Caribbean men to the war effort. And we're going to be doing that event and launching her book at that event as well. So Friday the 23rd of July at 7 o'clock, you'll hear about all the work that, all her work, and have a presentation. And please come down and support that work as well. So Michaela? Yeah, Michaela, you there?
Yeah.
So I'm going to hand over to you to do your closing words. I'm just going to say thank you, everybody, for supporting this event today. All the people that came through Black History Studies and support the work of Black History Studies, we thank you greatly for the work and support you have given us over the years. Today we launched one of our children's book, written by one of our students, called The Princess Nzinga and the Mysterious Merchants, a children's book. So you can go to our website and support that book as well. And I'm going to hand over to the amazing Michaela, and she's going to end the session today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was, really, really fascinating to sort of, I just want to be in the room when you two actually sit down together. You know, I want to be there. So it was very interesting to hear the sort of going into the history as well. So we have Charlie's contact details. We've got Carl's contact details. We now know about Charmaine's Black History Studies. We've got the information and contact details of that. And if you want to follow Preston Road Library on the Facebook, it's Preston Community Library. And we have regular events, which we'd like to welcome you all back to. But thank you very much.